You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/kidsandfamily. Just go to Indeed.com/kidsandfamily right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
Are you ready to learn the 3 secrets to launching a successful podcast? Hi, I'm Bill, a recent client of the Podcast Mogul. If you've been thinking about starting a podcast but aren't sure where to begin, he's got you covered. He is hosting a free webinar where he will share the 3 secrets that can help you launch, grow, and monetize your podcast without any fancy equipment or technical headaches. Click the link in the show notes to save your spot now and let him help get your podcast off the ground.
Welcome to Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. Join the Podcast Mogul Phil Better as he interviews successful entrepreneurs that make their living in the digital world. Now, let's join your host, Phil Better, and his special guest today on Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. And today, our guest is the founder of the Hive, where they help purpose-driven coaches build value-centered businesses. With years from inside the world of show business, helping actors and actresses learn the entrepreneurial skills that would help them land the jobs they want without the need of an agent, she finally decided, hey, I can help more people, and founded the Hive, as well as became the host of the Coaches on a Mission podcast, which we'll talk on in this episode because I'm a podcaster. You're listening to a podcast. We have another podcaster on the show. We're going to talk podcasts. Please, ladies and gentlemen, put it together for the head honcho of the Hive, Dallas Travers. Dallas, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Excited. Yes, excited for all the things.
All the things excite me. Fun. Dallas, I read off a quick little intro that I have for you. I would love for you to introduce yourself to my audience.
Yeah, thank you. So, as you said, I'm Dallas Travers, and I mean, I feel like I've had a business since I was born, but you probably feel that way too, right?
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah. But, when I think about this year and I think about the 21 years I've been in business, what I'm so invested in right now is impact, right? Like I've been in business long enough to know how to make money or launch a thing, like all of those online bells and whistles. And what lights me up these days is impact. And I know we're going to talk about this a little bit more, but nothing makes me happier than seeing purpose-driven people take the brave step to start their own business so that they can impact more people. So it's about this ripple effect. So that's what I'm really good at doing, is simplifying these lofty goals or big ideas into tangible plans. And it's the thing that lights me up every day. So I'm happy to be here because I know we're going to talk about that.
Oh, I'm already I have like thousands of questions, but we're going to start with, so you've been in the entrepreneurial world, 21 years. You launched your business 21 years ago. It's probably wasn't the same as it is today, but I'm wondering, is your why you started your business back that 21 years ago the same as it is today?
I think it is at its core. It's wearing a different outfit though. Right.
Okay.
And when I think about my why, I think there are 2 layers to it, 2 distinct layers. One is an altruistic motivation, right, to help others. And then there's this natural resourcefulness and like creative intelligence that I possess, where I'm just driven to make things, right, and driven to accomplish goals. So in the beginning, my first business was a marketing service for actors, designed to help actors find a talent agent. And that evolved out of a super sketchy experience I had. It was kind of like my first real job. working at a talent agency, and I'm going to put air quotes around the term talent agency, Phil. And this was a scam operation promising a Lexus commercial or a television series or whatever your acting dreams were. But first you needed to invest way too much money in super crappy photographs, like headshots. So I didn't know anything about the entertainment industry. So it took me maybe like 8 weeks, 10 weeks to kind of figure out that this was just nothing more than a scam. When I realized where I was working, I decided I needed to make a move, but I was not going to move back home because my mom, I was like 22 at the time, right? My mom was like, this is too good to be true. And I was not going to tell her she was right.
No, can't have that little one over on us, man. No,
I know, right? So I just thought, I think I can right this wrong. And so I designed a legitimate service to help actors find real agents. So there's that like altruistic piece, right? But immediately it fulfilled this deep desire I have to like express my creative resourcefulness. And that's been the trend. So now that I help coaches, every coach that I work with, they are motivated to make a difference in people's lives. And it's usually inspired by their own journey. And so that motivation to help them help more people exists. And I get to use these natural gifts of creative intelligence. So it's like a 2-part why for me. And like I said, the outfit has shifted over the years, but the motivation has always been the same.
I love that. I love how it's still your why is to help people, but also you need to feed the creative beast that we all have as entrepreneurs. I think all entrepreneurs have a creative beast in them, and it's what they go into their business. That's what drives their passion. We always have to feed it, because if we don't feed it, it feels like we die. I feel.
Yeah, it's like a muscle, right? If you don't work it out, it just atrophies and becomes heavy weight that we're carrying.
Yeah. When you figured out like you were working for a scam, and they probably were like, wow, we've got her the last 8 weeks. My God, she's going to be here forever.
Right?
They usually figure it out after a week. My God. And you started helping actors and actresses find representation. When did it come to a point where it was like, okay, I can do more than just help actors and actresses? What was that point like for you? Was it a scary shift?
Thank you for asking. I think there's like there's a point before that I think is important for the listeners. So my business was this marketing service. Essentially, there's that metaphor of teaching someone to fish versus feeding them fish. So I built a very successful business feeding actors fish. And then I wrote a book, because what started to happen was my clients would come to me and ask me for career advice. Now, I didn't know anything about the entertainment industry. I had no business giving
I just get you representation. That's my limit of knowledge here. Like I'm trying not to gatekeep you guys into this industry.
Well, it's like, well, my experience is working for a scam company. So do you really want my advice? But because I didn't have like any baggage, right? Or I actually didn't know the rules, I gave really smart advice. It was like entrepreneurial advice that actors had never heard before. So people were accomplishing their goals and having these career breakthroughs. So I started coaching. So I had the marketing service, and I also started coaching and teaching workshops. And then I wrote a book. And the day the book launched, I probably had like 200 clients in the marketing service, and 7 of them bought the book. And that was a huge light bulb moment for me, where I realized, oh, these people think I'm the lady who couriers their headshots to agents. They don't know that I have all of this other knowledge now and can help them in a much deeper way. So I decided in that moment I was going to close the marketing service down and go all in on coaching. So I did that. And that became really successful. And then you asked about moving into like coaching coaches. Yeah. And I'm the first coach you've ever met who coaches other coaches, right, Phil?
Oh yeah, yeah. You're like the first one ever. Diamond I just found this diamond.
What an amazing idea. But what started to happen was coaches were seeking me out. Like, hey, you've really built this thing serving an audience that kind of doesn't have money, and you're able to
make
scale.
Money.
Yeah. So I started like mentoring other coaches on the side. And then truthfully, and maybe some of your listeners can relate to this, it took me way too long to give myself permission to go all in on the next iteration of my business and to switch our audiences. And I think it was because my ego, if I'm being honest, was like, oh, what will these actors do without me? And they're all fine, actually.
Pretty sure they're doing fine.
Yeah. I knew I wanted to make the switch about 3 years before I had the courage to do it. And the mistake around that was if I had done it earlier, I could have sold the business, right? And instead I waited until I was just so done with it that I did a flash sale on all the courses and called it a day. So I don't have a regret around that, but looking back, I see where I didn't trust my instincts. And it just like slowed my growth down a little bit, right?
No, I love that because it's a lesson that you learn. So like when the hive grows to the certain level where you're looking to take yourself to the next level, be it a new industry you're going into, or even if you decide, hey, I'm done, I want to retire, you now know, hey, I know I can get a lot more for this, and I don't want to get to the point where I'm no longer enjoying this and I just flash sale and I don't make the return on investment that I could have. I love that lesson you just also imparted to my audience.
Yeah, I'm happy to. So yeah, so I guess that, I don't know, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Like how much of your business is data-driven strategy and how much of it is your intuition? I'm probably like 60-40 intuition. And I'm not saying that's a good thing, but this was an example of when I didn't follow my intuition and I felt it.
No, I like that. Yeah, I'm more on the intuition side because my main thing is monetizing podcasts. So I have to be creative. I have to look at seeing it's not necessarily numbers, because all you need is 1,000 followers and your podcast is good. You can get them $10 a month at $1,000. You're good, and it's growing to there. So it's now being creative on how to get those numbers, those people. So it's a lot more intuition. So yeah, no, I think you have to follow your gut sometimes because it serves you. It serves you. It's there for a reason.
Yeah. As long as you can tell the difference between when your gut is like cheering you on and when your gut is just terrified to take action.
Yeah.
Right.
What do you do in those moments when your gut is terrified for you to take action?
I feel like I've been doing this too long where I don't have that experience any longer. I used to, right? But now I think I've like made enough mistakes and had enough successes that I know no matter what happens, I can recover. And actually for me, especially when I think about programs I've invested in that didn't really follow through on their promise, or these other, I'm again, like air quotes here, but mistakes that I've made, that's been where I've grown the most. So I really am not afraid to make mistakes any longer, except in an area when it comes to my team, like the people who work for me. I think sometimes I can get it a little twisted, right? Like care so much about nurturing my team and making sure that they're comfortable and we have this inclusive culture that I compromise the business, right? For the sake of the individual. And that doesn't feel good for them either. So that is an area where I think I'm still not clear about when it's my nerves talking and when it's actually my instincts talking.
Oh, I like that you're still learning and you're growing because you have the business down pat. Those intuitions are spot on for you. Now it's the more human side of it, because when did you hire your first teammate?
Yeah. I remember, what I'll tell you is there were like interns that I hired, right? Or little siloed people to do very specific jobs. But the year I hired my first like full-time, for real team member, our business revenue increased by 101%. I know.
Wow.
Because the workforce literally doubled, Phil.
Makes
right?
sense. Makes sense.
Yeah. And that was back right like the year before my book came out. So 2006, like a lifetime ago. And I just remember really clearly learning through doing the benefit of making a strategic hire and relating to my team, my one team member, right? But as an asset rather than an expense. I think up until then it was like, well, who can I afford? And like, what's the minimum amount of money I can spend? And I was working too much for the company to actually grow. So when I shifted that thinking and really saw that spending the money to invest in a for real team member is acquiring an asset in the company rather than just another expense on the expense report every month. And I've never looked back, and I see that over and over again now when I bring on a team member. I have 3 of them, 3 full-time people as we speak. When I bring on a team member, I'm adding an asset to the company. And if I can't crunch the numbers to prove that this is an asset, it's likely the wrong person in the right role or the wrong role that I'm hiring for.
I like that. I like how you're looking at everything and taking everything into account to take it as an asset, because that's what a person is. They're an asset to your team. That's why you're hiring them. You're not hiring them just to fill a role. You want them to bring their knowledge, their skills to help you build a better business.
Yeah, it's like the difference between hiring to solve a problem, which sometimes we need to do that, right? Like, I don't know anything about WordPress. So I have a tech person who is a WordPress genius, and there's our problem solved, right? But when we're bringing on, like when we think about the team rather than contractors, if I hire to solve a problem, I'm not growing the company, right? So I want to hire to grow the company and further the cause. And then you have to bring on an asset in order to do that.
I want to talk about growing and where you see the Hive and yourself in the next 5 years.
So right now, the Hive is a year-long mentorship program teaching sales and marketing strategies to values-driven coaches. And I see a real opportunity to add another layer to that, which is a coaching certification, really teaching people inclusive coaching skills so that they can have a deeper impact on the people that they're serving. So I see 5 years from now having like a coach certification track and then a business certification track. And I don't quite know, Phil, how those two things go together, right? And like, I don't have the details worked out, but that's definitely the next step for the Hive.
I love that.
We're also really committed to social impact. So we have a social impact exchange program where coaches who serve a marginalized community, in exchange for a tuition waiver, they move through our curriculum and every month give us feedback on where our curriculum doesn't actually work for their audience and for their business model. Just so that we can deepen the impact and have this ripple effect. So instead of me going in and trying to serve a marginalized community that I have no real knowledge of or connection to, we're helping other coaches have that impact. So my commitment, like, we're working on it now, but we're just continuing to grow the fellowship program.
I love that. And I definitely need to put you in contact with a person who I interviewed yesterday.
Oh, cool.
That does something called charitable impact. And it's specifically with Canadians. However, I think it's possibly a great connection to have. So since you want to impact, he's impacting people. So probably an amazing connection. But I love that, how you're looking to make your programs more inclusive by having the marginalized groups come in and go through and say, hey, this is an issue over here, this we need to fix up here, to make it as inclusive as to everybody possible.
Yeah, thank you. It's been I'm learning a lot. And maybe this might transition. I know in your show you talk about tips, but if what you're really committed to in your business is impact and belonging, that's more than just like hosting a party where everyone's invited. It actually requires a lot of work and intention. It's worth it, but it does require a lot of work and intention.
when you do have one of these individuals come through, these coaches helping marginalized groups go through, and when they do point out, hey, this could be problematic or this may be an issue, do you I'm just curious, because I know some people may feel attacked, because it's like when you put through a program, it's like your baby, and obviously through this time, 21 years you've gone through, you probably have less of that connection, as it's a product, not just a baby anymore. Like some people, when we're early in our career, it's, this is my baby. Why are you judging my baby? Do you have that issue, or are you able to separate?
That's such a good question. This, to me, it goes back to the why. So what I want in my program is impact, right? So, and I'm like really rooted in that intention. I've been on my own journey, learning, like walking the path toward an anti-racist business and really learning everything I can about inclusivity. So I'm calling in this feedback, understanding that the goal here is for people to point out what I don't see. So because of that, and I can talk more about the structure too, but because of that shared agreement, they understand, and I also understand, that our intention is to make this program better for all so that we can improve more lives. So it's not really about me, right? Okay. And that's incredibly helpful. I will say, though, that it's easy to almost have a knee-jerk reaction. And so then we're just changing things every other Thursday based on the feedback we're receiving. And that's also not helpful. So what we do with our fellows is once a quarter, we review everyone's feedback and then intentionally choose up to 3 changes that we will implement. So it's a slow burn, right? But we're really, intention is often a slow burn.
Yeah, you're, instead of just throwing gasoline on it to burn up the fire, you're creating a fire that can last forever.
Yeah.
That will help people go further and further and keep more and more people warm, in essence, instead of just having the quick, everyone's heat. Okay, good.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to ask, and this is probably a great place to ask the tip question. How do you get to that place? How do you get to a place where you're able to look at it and go, this is going to help more people, and not take it as an attack? Is it going back to your why, always going back to your why, or is there something else you can help my audience with?
This is such a great question. So there's a few things. Like, number one, this is not my first rodeo. So with time and maturity, right, I think we all just get better at receiving feedback. So that's just like part of it, right? Then you mentioned the why, and I think understanding the bigger intention behind our work. And even if you're listening and you're selling widgets, right? Like, what is the why behind the widget? And if we can get really clear on that, and it doesn't even have to be a why that's about saving lives or transformation. It could be a why about creating financial freedom and generational wealth in your family. But when I stand in that intention, the feedback just like whizzes past me and toward the intention instead of landing on my heart. The other thing that I think all coaches in particular, because that's who I work with, need to work really hard at is identifying the distinction between when they are proving worth and when they are providing value. So my goal is to provide value. So if I'm trying to prove my worth and make sure that the Hive is the best thing anyone's ever seen, I'm going to get offended every time someone points out a typo on one of our slides, let alone any of these other bigger structural problems. But if my goal is to provide value, it's just not about me. And this is a skill that we can cultivate, right? Like redirecting our intention and our energy toward providing value rather than proving our own worth.
Great tips. I needed to hear that. I need to hear that every once in a while. Remember that it's the feedback is only going to grow, and it's not attacking who I am. Got to hear that every once in a while. And it's good to hear it from someone who's further along their journey, and every once in a while.
Thank you. And I also think that for me, remembering that any feedback I get is coming through the lens of that person's lived experience and their mood of the day,
Yeah.
right? Which is a huge part of it. So again, like bringing compassion, I think, to whatever they might be going through in that day, and understanding that whatever they're saying to me comes through that filter. But again, if we make decisions with intention, and those intentional decisions are rooted in our own values, negative feedback is welcomed. And I find it doesn't sway me at all, because I'm just not making stuff up, right? I'm not just randomly throwing something out there on the internet. I'm thinking through why I'm doing it and the impact it's going to have. So now if you're giving me feedback, it's about the impact. It's not about me.
I like that. So much gold from you, Dallas. My God. I do want to know about a memory, because we are moving quite quickly through this, and I hate that. But I want a memory that you have in your 21 years. It can be from a win a client received, or a win that you were able to achieve, that just again re-cements back to the why, because that's the most important thing an entrepreneur has, or a person has, is their why. Why are they doing something? So do you have a memory you care to share? You can share multiple memories, that's all right, but any type of memory.
This is such a great, I love this question so much. And I know we're going to play the Spark game. I've listened to your show, right? So I know where this is going. One of my core values, Phil, is it's something that I call Spark, because I don't know that there's actually a word for this. So like that synergy is beautiful. So what is Spark? Spark is that moment where the way I relate to myself, the way I see myself in the world shifts because of that thing I just did. So I'll give you an example to illustrate this, and then I have a couple of Spark memories. My daughter, she's 8 now, but the summer when she was 5 years old, she taught herself to ride a bike. I tried to help, but I couldn't run fast enough to keep up with her. So I'm sort of like dragging her to the side. It was a nightmare. But this kid, she spent the whole day in our backyard, which was super smart because she's on grass. You have to really engage your core and try a lot harder to pedal. Yeah. But also if she falls, she's fine. This kid taught herself to ride a bike in an afternoon. And that morning, she saw herself as a kid on training wheels. And that afternoon, she saw herself as this capable, strong, resourceful, free, big kid on a 2-wheel bike. And you could just see it even in her posture, that the way she saw herself was different than it was when she woke up in the morning. And I live for those moments. So there's one that's standing out in my mind, and it's so interesting that out of all of, because we see Spark moments all the time, but this is so clear in my mind. It's a coach in my program. She helps professional musicians land college teaching jobs. So like a very specific niche, right?
Very, very specific.
Yeah. And I got an email from her like late December, and it said, "I'm completely floored. I had no idea this could ever happen. I can't even tell you how, but I made 6 figures this year." She's like, "I made 6 figures this year, and now I see that I'm capable of doing that again." So there's that spark, right? Or even we'll see it inside of the Hive, where I had a conversation yesterday with a coach. She's a fitness trainer, but not in the stereotypical way we think of fitness trainers. Her goal is to help people like sneak intentional movement into the nooks and crannies of their day, right? And she has been struggling to find the words to describe what she does in a way that cause people to lean in instead of just say like, "Oh, that's nice," because I totally don't understand what you're talking about.
Oh, you're an accountant. That's nice.
Like, okay, have fun with that. And, we were wrestling around with the wording. And so I'm just listening to her talk when she wasn't trying to get it right. Because when she was trying to get it right, it was not working. But I'm just listening to some of these things she said, and then I just wrote down, inside the Hive, we call it a dream client power statement. So I wrote it down and I said, how does this sound? And I said it to her, and she just immediately started crying because it rang so true for her. Now, I didn't do anything. I just listened really well, right? These were her words. But we left that call and she stood up straighter. And these marketing actions that she had been dragging her feet on, she was now excited to go and do because she saw herself instead of as just another fitness trainer, she saw herself with this purpose and this mission that people are going to care about. And these spark moments, they kind of happen by accident in a way, right? We can't ever create them, but they're just totally magical. And that's what I live for. I can't get enough of them.
Oh, I love those stories. And I love how like you have the one with your daughter, having her standing proud, and then you have the two, amazing. And I can't believe active listening is all we need. It's the active listening. Right? We just need someone to listen to us yabble on, and we'll solve all our problems. As you mentioned, we are going to the Spark question of the game show. If I can grab it. Here we go. As you know, Spark is from Seek Discomfort, an amazing organization, amazing YouTube channel that seeks to create friendships from strangers. And if you were 99 years old and given the chance to come back to today, what would you do right now?
Oh my gosh, I'm so surprised by my answer. So my daughter goes to school on a farm. She does this outdoor school program. And Rosie, the goat, had babies 2 days ago, 4 little tiny baby goats. And I have not made the time to go to the farm and see these teeny tiny goats. And that's my answer. I would hang up with you, Phil, get in the car and go to the farm and see these tiny goats that are like the size of a tissue box.
Oh my God. You should do that.
I need to do that. Yes. I will pick her up today. Yeah, you should come.
Yeah, I'll jump on a plane. I'll come right down. By the time I get there, school should be out and I should be able to see the baby goats.
I wonder how many times people have a surprising answer to that question that's like very, I don't want to say mundane, but like just very day in the life instead of, well, I would launch another funnel. Yeah. Right? Or rebrand my website. So I'm surprised and delighted by my answer to that question.
I love your answer. Going to see baby goats. That's the first, like that's a life moment. That's like a memory. Because how many times do you get to see baby goats that have just been like a few days old? I love it. Dallas, I'm jumping off the screen here. Okay. I want you to tell my audience where they can come find you, how they can support you, listen to your podcast. We didn't even talk about your podcast.
You'll have to bring me back, Phil.
I will. You know what? I'll get you on my podcast about podcasts because that's even better about it. Dallas, the floor is yours.
Oh, this was so much fun. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. So if you're listening to this podcast, I'm going to assume you are a podcast person. So come over and follow Coaches on a Mission. The format of this show, I actually coach coaches through a business obstacle that they're facing. So it's like jam-packed, filled with strategy, and you get to eavesdrop on these really powerful conversations. So the name of the show is Coaches on a Mission. Also, if you have any questions for me, the best place to find me is Instagram. My Instagram handle is Dallas Travers Biz Mentor.
Awesome. Dallas, thank you again for coming on this show, being a delightful guest and sharing so much knowledge with my audience.
Thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun.
To my audience, all the show notes down below will have the links to Dallas, the Hive, the podcast, everything. Go listen to the podcast. It's great. Amazing value every episode. So I'm listening. Shh, don't tell her this. I'm stealing her knowledge. But as always, remember to always invest in yourself.
Thanks for tuning in. Now it's time to take the next step. When you're ready to dive deeper into how to launch, grow, and monetize your podcast, Phil's got something special for you. Join him for a free webinar where he'll reveal the 3 secrets that have helped countless entrepreneurs succeed in podcasting. Click the link in the show notes to save your spot and let's turn your podcasting dreams into reality.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/kidsandfamily. Just go to Indeed.com/kidsandfamily right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.